All right, we're rolling now on the inaugural episode of the Always Bayern Chelsea program, where two old buds talk about their newfound love for a beautiful game,
The beautiful game.
the sport of football, or as we call it over here, soccer.
And I think there'll probably be some slip-ups where we mix in soccer, mix in football. We're new to the game, so it's bound to happen, so don't hate us for that.
Yeah, my terminology is not up to par to the pros.
I mean, there's a lot of terms that fans use for football where it's like I've never heard and I'm just trying to acclimate myself, so I think it makes sense.
But yeah, as mentioned, this is right now, I guess, for the time being, called Always Bayern Chelsea, and that's because, from my standpoint of things, over here, I'm supporting the German club Bayern Munich.
And over here, I'm supporting the beautiful Chelsea Football Club in London, England. London is blue, by the way. I have to add that. It's part of my obligation as a fan.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we can just start off with some pretty quick introductions. As mentioned, we're supporting Bayern Munich for me and Chelsea for Jim. My name's Danny. We're new to the game, so we're gonna be kind of cataloging our growth as fans, our growth in terms of love for the game, and hopefully just what we think about things live and after matches, maybe previewing matches. Probably going to be looking back and thinking how dumb we were at certain points, but I think that's all part of it.
And arguably just as important, cataloging our growth as human beings. Because, let's be honest, football is just a game. We love it. All the fans love it. But it's also important just to have conversations about the game and enjoy it at all times.
Yeah. As mentioned, this is two old buds just growing together in a beautiful way for the world to hear.
And buds do grow. That's how they become flowers.
Yeah, that should be like a patented tagline or something. Yeah, we're really just starting things off. I mean, I guess I have a little bit of an idea, but I don't really know where things will go, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
It's a very beautiful thing. You know, we're like you said, we're two new fans, and I think it's gonna be awesome just to love and watch the sport together. And you know, I've kind of been watching for a couple years now. You've kind of been starting lesser part of the year, and it's only gonna get more and more in depth into the games and the matches and the culture of the sport and the culture of each team. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'll be going to see that culture firsthand pretty soon here. So yeah, just it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I think I guess we should mention right now as we're recording this, it's Saturday, March 23rd, 2024. So it's well into the football season, and it's almost, I guess, Bayern has 8 more matches left in the Bundesliga, and then still some Champions League glory to play for. So it's kind of the business end of the season.
Yeah, I'd say if Bayern was in the Championship League, they'd probably be top of the table right now. Chelsea just beat Leicester City, who's probably top of the table. I haven't looked exactly, but they're aiming for promotion. But yeah, Bayern's in the Champions League, which is awesome. So I've been watching some of that, even as a Chelsea fan, just wishing that Chelsea were in any European football this year. It'd be nice. Hopefully next year. We'll see.
Yeah, well, with that, I guess we can kind of start by giving our thoughts on the state of the season so far at this point. And you can start off with Chelsea if you want.
Yeah, I guess as some background too, real quick, kind of how I became a Chelsea fan.
Oh yeah, personal info.
Just was really itching to get into the beautiful game of football, and I kind of realized English Premier League is the biggest league, probably the most popular league in the world. It's also in England, so it's a more relatable journey as an American, I would say. I kind of looked at it as there's the big six teams. You know, you got both Manchesters, then you got Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea. And I kind of said, I'm going to pick one of those. You can say it's maybe a little cowardly, but I figured picking a team that wins more often would be an easier way to get into the game. Immediately, I threw out a couple teams, maybe because I had a friend who supported, maybe because they dominate every single football competition they're in. But yeah, I honestly just, it was kind of between Chelsea and Arsenal, which is funny, London derby rivals. Chelsea, something drew me to them, whether it was their logo, their colors. I've always loved royal blue. And then, honestly, I was reading and kind of discovered that they were potentially going to have a rough year last season. They had just been forced to sell the team. Their owner, Roman, was kind of had some ties as a Russian oligarch to the war.
Ooh,
So,
yeah.
kind of tough,
Bad
but
news.
sold to American owners, Clear Lake Capital. And yeah, I kind of saw that they could be having a tough season and figured, why not jump in?
Nice. Yeah, I guess my background is simpler, perhaps to say the least. And you can decide cowardly or less cowardly. But yeah, from my side of things, I saw my old bud having all this fun in a new passion and a new sporting excursion. So it was partially that, and then partially my girlfriend's family is massive Bayern Munich fans, very, very German, and where we are here in Milwaukee, even Wisconsin in general, there's a huge influence from German culture. So just going down to beer halls and seeing the spirit of all the Bayern fans there really got me. It hooked me.
And I'll add, too, that's a massive part of it. Going to the pub at 6 a.m., 10 a.m., it makes it easy, I would say.
Yeah. It's a ton of fun. I'm having so much more fun than I ever could have dreamed. Just completely obsessing and diving in like head first into the deep end with this journey.
And that's what we both done is dove right off the
Yep.
huge high up cliff, and whether we perish or not on the way down, we'll see. But so far, it's been awesome. So
Yeah, I mean, speaking from the Bayern side of things, I'm still alive right now. Maybe I'm barely breathing, especially in the Bundesliga. I think all hope might be lost, but I'm still alive.
well, Chelsea certainly has been a roller coaster since I've started as a fan. So I can relate to that.
Yeah, just one thing to mention here. At this point, no video cameras in the room. Maybe someday, but the Chelsea mint jersey. I should have just started the episode off with this. One of the coolest, sickest, tightest things I've seen in the flesh. Looks great.
Yeah, so we're both wearing our jerseys. You got your Kane. I believe that's the home Bayern jersey, which it's nice, red, white, clean.
Yeah,
and
Rocky
I got
like a Harry Kane.
Great song, great memento for Harry Kane. Yeah, I mean the Chelsea mint, the third jersey this season, was on sale. Decided to go with it.
It's slick.
Cold Cole Palmer.
Yeah,
I mean,
ice
what
cold,
a player.
baby. Especially lately.
Lately, he's been unreal, and
Yeah.
now he's getting called up by England, which is crazy.
Respect.
You're saying Kane is out, Saka also is out, so I'm thinking Palmer might get the start today.
Yeah, we're on international break right now, which I think is a good time to get this first one ripping.
Great time, and actually last night, Argentina had I believe just a friendly, but my boy Enzo scored a nice goal, kind of off a little lucky cross into the box deflection, and he put it away right at the goal line. But
Is that your other jersey, Enzo?
no, my other jersey is
Your boy.
O Monstro Thiago Silva,
Oh.
the Brazilian.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, since I tried to shoehorn this in before, do you want to go off with the state of the season recap?
Might as well, yeah. So, Chelsea, like I said, the last couple of years, it's been interesting as a fan coming into it. Last year, I was expecting they'd kind of be competing for top 8 position. Had Tuchel, who Danny's very familiar with at Bayern.
Yeah, aren't we all?
And, you know, he had won a Champions League pretty recently for Chelsea, but most people would say it was kind of not lucky, but just right timing, I would say, for a team. A lot of young players.
Yep.
Pretty much all those players are gone now, except for Silva, who's 39, I think, and probably on his way out the door. But since then, ton of manager changes. Player movement has been just insane. Everybody's talking about, oh, Chelsea, billion-dollar bottle jobs. You know, I get it. It makes sense. We've bought a lot of players, sold a lot as well.
It's a turning point. It's a change.
Yeah, I mean, and what do you expect when you get new owners?
Yeah.
You know, I get fans want to have all this success right away, are used to a ton of success, but it's tough. You know, you got these, they were forced to sell the team within a short period of time, and that's kind of how the cookie crumbled. And I honestly think they've done an okay job managing all that.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't been perfect, but I kind of like their American model, if you will, of getting all these young guys.
Yeah.
And hopefully it works out.
A rebuild. Yeah.
Which you'd be crucified in London if you called it a rebuild, probably.
Good thing you're the one going to London and not me. Yeah. I think that it's also been a roller coaster of a season at this point for Bayern Munich, and it's one that's almost hard to describe or to think about. I think there's a lot of narratives that you see in the traditional soccer football media that are a little bit unfair, a little bit hard to, I don't know, digest for me at least as a fan. But I think it has to start. I think the discussion about this season has to start with old boy Thomas Tuchel, because at this point, as we're recording this, he is no longer going to be the manager of Bayern Munich in the summer, which is kind of an interesting move, I think, to tell someone that they're sacked and then continue the season with them. Yeah. Although since that news has broke, Bayern's on a little bit of a good streak here. It seems like Tuchel's been coaching better, or maybe the players are just playing more freely, unshackled by the Tuchel chains.
Yeah, and Tuchel, I don't know necessarily enough about his style. I only saw a few games, but he seems to be kind of defensive-minded.
Definitely very passive.
Which, yeah, I get Bayern fans probably wouldn't love that style.
Yeah, U-ball, kind of the swinging it around,
right.
Passing, defensive. And that is a problem for Bayern, and this isn't necessarily a knock on Tuchel. It's just I don't think his style fits very well with the type of players that Bayern has and the type of mentality really that Bayern has as a club. And then kind of couple that with Tuchel's I guess insistence, or maybe some would call it stubbornness, on having his guys, having his certain players, and kind of kicking some staple Bayern players to the curb and just mixing things up in the lineup. So because of all that, Bayern is at this point seemingly not going to win the Bundesliga for the first time in 11 seasons. But at the same time, you can credit Leverkusen for how well they're playing. They have not lost this season at all, Bundesliga or in Europe.
Yeah, I would say obviously Bayern is struggling a little bit. They're not doing terribly. I remember at one point you said they would have first place points in any other season.
Yeah, they have 60 points right now, and there's 8 matches left. Last year they finished with 71 points, and they won the Bundesliga.
Yeah, so you got to credit Leverkusen. Xabi Alonso has obviously been a great manager at this point. We'll see if he stays. I would say he probably won't, but it's been awesome to see kind of a different team from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I'll support your Bayern Munich, but at the same time, it's
you better
cool.
Support against Arsenal.
Oh, true. Obviously, I'm going to be supporting against those fraud Gunners in London. But, yeah, I mean, it's always cool to see other leagues, how things play out, even though it is a farmers league.
I knew that was coming. But yeah, I guess as a Bayern fan right now, we still have hope, some shred of hope for the Champions League. Not an ideal draw, I would say. I think Arsenal is going to be a great match. Great two matches if Bayern's healthy, especially, and if they play up to their potential, I think they can win. But that being said, the semifinals is either going to be Real Madrid or Man City. So,
which is a crazy draw that happened. It's
that's
kind of
really
cool, kind of not, just because you want to see those teams play, but at the same time, you'd probably hope it's in the final. If they
definitely
do match up.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome though to see Bayern Arsenal. Obviously, like I said, I'll be rooting for Bayern. Would hate to see Arsenal do well. Arteta, every time I look at him, I just cringe, and unfortunately, he's quite an attractive lad. So
he's friends with Xabi Alonso, I think.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Hopefully that's right. Otherwise, our fact checkers will cut that out, of course. But
naturally, our many producers that we have on hand here.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm, as a Bayern fan, I'm totally psyched for the Champions League. I think that it's going to be real fun to watch them play against Arsenal. Unfortunately, just bad injury news right now. Hopefully Bayern's going to have Harry Kane and Manuel Neuer, two of their most important players, against Arsenal, but they're both missing international duty and injured right now.
Yeah, hopefully they'll have those guys. And I think before we dive a little deeper into those specific players, I'll just quickly kind of run through Chelsea and how they've done this season. Up and down, like I said, kind of expected to be battling for top 8, which in the Premier League, usually, you got your top 4. Now it's going to be 5 probably that will get to go to the Champions League. Then a couple other spots for Europa League or the Europe Conference League, which are 2 other European competitions. And we'll see what happens. I mean, they are kind of battling for 8 right now. Mm-hmm. They sit in 11th, and they're 3 points behind Brighton, who's in 8th.
Do they have a game in hand?
They do have a game in hand. Kind of technically 2, depending on how you look at it. I think Brighton has 1 more game. Some teams have 2. With the way the FA Cup has kind of been for Chelsea, who have played well, fortunately. But those 2 games in hand are Arsenal and Tottenham.
Ooh.
And Arsenal will be battling. They're at the top table right now, so they're definitely not going to be a slouch in that game, and it will be at Emirates, which will be tough. Mm-hmm. Tottenham will be at home at the Bridge, but they're in 5th right now, so they'll kind of be battling potentially for a Champions League spot. But yeah, it's been interesting. Mauricio Pochettino comes in, gets a full summer.
Has his lemons.
He's got his lemons, right? For those of you that know the lemon story, just look up that story. It's interesting. But yeah, he kind of got the full off season, but at the same time, there's always these injuries that Chelsea deal with. It's never been easy bringing in players. They're all young. He's trying to do his own thing, build a culture. I don't know. A lot of fans are against him right now. I'd still like to give him some time. I think he's done things well. They show heart certain matches. Other matches, they kind of lay down and die. It's been interesting,
especially with a young team. Yeah, and a new manager. I mean, over here at Bayern, we don't seem to give the managers any time. Any sort of slip up. Oh, you're not winning the Bundesliga. Oh, you lost the first leg to Lazio. Like, it's over for a manager at that point.
And that's how it's been at Chelsea forever under the prior Russian owner, is he would really quickly just fire managers.
Yeah. And
it worked, but to me, that's kind of toxic. I thought here in America we'd let guys go quick. I never thought it'd be anything like that in England, but it's worse, I would say.
Yeah. Well, do you want to dive a little bit into the lineups and the squad of each team and talk about kind of overall feelings about where things are, each player?
Sure, yeah, and maybe we'll kind of split this up in we each do kind of offense, defense type of thing, little coaching strategy maybe.
I mean, there's always coaching to talk about with with these two teams for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe I guess start off on the fun end. The forwards, the attackers for Chelsea. And it's kind of been quite the Rolodex of players over the last couple seasons. But this year, it's honestly been pretty encouraging. We were coming into the year, we gotten the transfer of Christopher Nkunku from RP Leipzig in the Bundesliga.
Oh, yeah.
Great scorer. Been injured basically all year.
Yeah.
And when you kind of build your team around that, it's pretty tough. But we've been able to luckily snag Cole Palmer on the last day of the transfer window.
Ice cold.
And he's come in and been unreal. I mean, he has essentially been the top young player in Europe, right up there with Bellingham, which to say out loud is crazy, but it's been true if you look at the numbers. So that's been awesome. You got Raheem Sterling, who's got a lot of attention lately. Did I send you that video of his free kick?
No, I don't think so. Because, we had some words about Sterling the other day.
Sterling had a free kick that still has kind of been roaming around in space. It was that far off.
Oh, no.
It was tough, and fans ever since, it was more than just that. I mean, he's been so inconsistent. It's tough to see because he's supposed to be a veteran. And the young players say he's kind of a brother to them, but I need to see more out of him to kind of make that work. And yeah, I mean, Nico Jackson has come in, been inconsistent, but he's scored a lot of goals, which has been great. Very young, coming from Spain, which has been interesting. Madueke doesn't play a ton, but he scored some goals, had some moments. Obviously, we got my favorite player on the team, Misha Mihailo Mudryk, the Ukrainian.
Amazing.
An electric factory, fastest guy in Europe.
Whoa.
He is. I mean, there's been a lot of comparisons to some fast guys. People say he's faster than Mbappe.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
they should do a foot race.
They should, yeah. No, but young, so it's like he struggles, but then also has brilliant moments.
I've seen some of those brilliant moments. Electric factory. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, his goal against Newcastle recently was unreal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the story for Chelsea. It's just, like I've said 1,000 times already, roller coaster, up and down, inconsistent, but very fun to watch at times.
Yeah. Okay, so from the Bayern side of things on the attack, obviously we have to start off with the best striker in the world, Rocky like a Harry Kane. An incredible season so far in the Bundesliga, breaking all kinds of records. I believe he has 31 goals right now. He's sort of, depending on his injury, I guess. Assuming he's not injured, he has a decent shot to break the 41 goal record, which is pretty incredible. Say what you will about trophyless Kane, we'll see, but I think he's dare I say an electric factory to watch. Goals left and right.
I'll never deny that he's a great striker.
Yeah.
Somebody that I think would fit very well at Chelsea. We need somebody that kind of can just be in the box and put goals away. I actually think he's a pretty perfect style for Tuchel ball.
Yeah.
Just because when you do kind of play that style, I feel like he just fits that well. He's not like, if you just were going fast all the time, I don't know if he's that type of guy.
Yeah.
So
well, here's the criticism I have with how Tuchel has used him so far this season, and I will say as of late it's been better. But so because Kane can do so much, in the beginning of the season and kind of the middle of the season too, he's been brought back and has been facilitating, which I'm not going to lie and say that Kane can't do that. He's a great facilitator too. That's part of what makes him such a great player, but on a team like Bayern, you need him to just be finishing. Like, he needs to be the one putting the ball in the goal. Yeah, putting the ball in the goal and kind of having guys like Sané and Musiala surrounding him and Muller kind of facilitating instead of having Kane dropping back and facilitating. Kane needs to be in the box, just putting things away.
100% agree. That's why you pay all the money for him. You got to have him score goals.
Yep.
And he's done that. I mean,
He's done it.
That's not to say that he hasn't done it, but I agree with what you're saying about the criticism for Tuchel.
The team just plays better when Kane is out there scoring goals. Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that. And I guess speaking of scoring goals, I have a few more forwards, offensive players that I need to talk about for Bayern. And I guess lately the man who's been wowing me left and right is Jamal Musiala. Just watching him dribble is such a treat. Yeah, I'll watch matches and it'll look like he's dribbling past 6 or 7 guys, sometimes dribbling himself into trouble and then out of trouble and then scoring, but also having the vision to look up and set somebody up for just an easy gimme.
Yeah, there's actually been a lot of talk on the Chelsea side of Musiala just because he's somebody that I feel like a lot of people I follow really would love to have somebody like him in the squad.
I mean, so young.
Yeah, I mean,
so
young,
fast.
which is what we like to see, fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like, not to use the term a third time, but an electric factory.
Yeah. And then I guess speaking of another young player who just recently Bayern extended, which is great news, is Tell. And Tell has been, in my opinion, great. Now, there's been some discussion about his playing time. I think everybody wants more playing time, right? But I think that he's one of those guys who is right now essentially used as a super sub, and that is maybe a double-edged sword because sure, maybe he could be starting, but also when he's used as a super sub, he has fresh legs and he's kind of coming in, against guys who maybe don't, and just becoming, I won't say electric factory, but just becoming, a real threat. He has 10 goals so far, and I believe there's some stat I saw last week. He's like the third youngest player in Bundesliga history to score those first 10 goals. So I'm glad he's extended. And then you can't talk about the attack on Bayern without talking about Leroy Sané. And he's an interesting guy to watch because he is very, very up and down. And when he's up, he's one of the best players in the world, I would say. Fast, scoring tons of goals. But when he's down, which is how it's been lately, it's like, he's also battling some injuries, and I think he's just overall fatigued. But man, I don't believe he's scored a goal since October.
I mean, it sounds like most Chelsea players, up and down. When he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
When he's off, he's off. And I get that because most of our players, and he's not young, but with a lot of young players that Chelsea have, that's how they all are, it seems like. Even a guy like Enzo Fernandez, who's still young on Chelsea, and he's won a World Cup with Argentina, and yet just has these days where it's like, is your mind in it? Are you fit? I don't know if that's the case with Sané.
That's kind of how I feel too. It's just so interesting to talk about him and to watch him play because there'll be times where it looks like his mind's not in it or he's hurt. Although I will say lately he's looked a little bit better. He's still fast. He's still setting things up. But he's got to score. He's just a guy who, in the beginning of the year was scoring left and right.
If there's one thing I know, it's that you have to put the ball in the back of the net. And Chelsea, it's been their criticism the entire 2 seasons that I've been a fan. They just don't finish. They need people who know how to score. It's like you can say forever, oh, there's expected goals, they're setting things up well.
Everybody talks about XG.
Yeah, if you're not scoring those goals, you're not winning matches and you're not going to do well.
Yep. Just a couple more players to highlight here on the offensive side for Bayern Munich. Kingsley Coman, who's been injured for a while. He's a guy that I like. I hope sticks around at Bayern. And then the same thing with Serge Gnabry. He's just 2 matches back from injury. He's been battling injury all year, but scored instantly in the two matches that he came back in. So Bayern has some choices to make with the offensive side. I'll throw Thomas Muller in there too, because he's just a joy to watch, in my opinion. Unfortunate that Tuchel had him riding the bench for most of the season, but due to all these injuries, he's kind of been forced to play him more, and it's been a joy to watch him out there facilitating.
He's a legend, no doubt
He's a
about
legend.
it. A German legend, so it's always good to see guys like that get their well-deserved time and perform well.
Beautiful smile too.
That's maybe the most important thing. As long as you got a good smile,
Yep.
you're having fun out there. That's the best part about Chelsea when they're playing well, is how much fun it looks like they're having.
How much they smile.
Yeah, and I get it. When you're not playing well, you're probably not going to have as much fun, obviously.
Yep.
Every sport, it's like that. But young players, when they're really feeling joyous, is great to watch.
Yeah. Do you want to kind of pivot over to the midfield?
Yeah, and some of the players I touched on cover the midfield a little bit. But,
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, the 3 main midfielders Chelsea has had this year have been Enzo, Caicedo, and Conor Gallagher. Each kind of provide their own abilities and positives, maybe have weaknesses as well. Conor Gallagher, you could argue, has been the most consistent, I don't want to say best player for Chelsea this year, but probably up there in minutes played for the team.
Good smile, good head of hair.
Has been a captain at times. He's got great hair, changes it up every now and then. And he's a Chelsea kid through and through.
Oh, love that.
Which fans love, coaches love, because you know you're getting a guy that's going to give it his all at all times. Hopefully we kind of get something done with his contract. But he's a guy that will go box to box. He's had the most tackles in the opposing team's end. It's been awesome to see his fight and will to always go after the ball. And he started to score more as of late, which has been awesome, because that's something you need. But then you got Enzo and Caicedo, who kind of also anchor that midfield. Enzo pushes up a little further, provides a ton of progressive passes, which you definitely need. Guys switching the ball to opposite sides of the field, creating space. And Caicedo has kind of been that number 6 defensive midfielder. Gets in some trouble with fouls at times. I don't know how he doesn't get more fouls, but he's fun to watch too, because if you like a guy that really gets on the defensive end, he's been great. And then I'll just mention a couple other names because it's important to note. Romeo Lavia, who we bought from Southampton, has been hurt essentially the entire year. He's somebody that you'd expect to be a very integral part of the team going forward. Same with Ugo Chukwu, who is younger but has some potential, but once again has been hurt. And then Chukwuemeka, who has just recently come back, very young, just scored the winner against Leicester City in the FA Cup. He's kind of a attacking midfield option that I think it'll be important for him to stay healthy and fit.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'll go relatively quick on the midfield here for Bayern, since, like I said, some of those guys I talked about kind of cover that area too. And there's also just more to talk about with the defenders for Bayern right now.
Fair enough.
But as far as the midfield goes, the thing that I and probably most Bayern Munich fans are excited about is Alexander Pavlovic. He is a young 19-year-old kid who, speaking of from the club through and through, was a ball boy for Bayern.
Wow.
Yeah, and just grew up through the system and through the club. Incredible season so far. He is a bright spot for the club, and I really hope that he stays there for the long term. And then other than that, the midfield has been very I guess just going through turmoil and changes this year for Bayern, but I'll shout out Leon Goretzka because I like him. He was kind of supposed to be one of those guys who kind of took the torch from the old, Thomas Muller, Manuel Neuer generation and to form a new one here at Bayern, but hasn't played that much this year because of one Thomas Tuchel. doesn't seem to be one of his guys, so that's a bit of a bummer. But lately with injuries, he's been playing more, and I've been happy with how he's been doing.
Love the smirk every time that Danny says Thomas Tuchel.
It's just funny because so many people like cannot stand the man and everything he does is wrong, which I'm not one of those people. I'm just more of the mindset, like I said earlier, that he's not really the right fit for Bayern.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's fine.
Yeah, and then I guess I'll also mention Joshua Kimmich, who's lately been playing right back, which is interesting because he was kind of always thought of as a midfielder, but is doing well at right back. Another one of those guys who was supposed to kind of take that torch to the next generation, and now it's not even certain he's going to be on Bayern for much longer because of his relationship with the coach.
And I just saw Fabrizio was tweeting about his contract. He was asked Kimmich about his contract. He kind of had the generic answer of,
I'm not thinking
signed
about it
for
right
another
now.
year.
Yeah.
Which I get, and I think he plays for the German team too.
People
seem to love him though. I mean, I've seen talk about his play.
Yeah, it's kind of been up and down this year, honestly, but to be fair, like he's been in a tough situation where Tuchel has gone to the media and has said we're looking for somebody to replace him, which I can't imagine that anybody would really take that well. Yeah, they're looking for a new, because he doesn't, a new six, like he didn't fit their I guess Tuchel's style. So there were rumors that he wanted out, right, which would make sense. But now with Tuchel leaving, I think we're gonna have to wait and see.
Well, that's crazy to actually say to the media if you're Tuchel.
Especially when, Kimmich isn't one of these guys who's just, I don't know, super young and unexperienced or whatever. Like, he was a staple of Bayern Munich and really German football in general. So, yeah, up and down season for Kimmich. I'm sure there's some things he wishes he could take back or handle a little bit better, but has been having some success at right back, so maybe he'll stay there. We'll see. Yeah, as far as midfield goes, I guess you could also talk about Konrad Leimer, but he's been hurt for most of the season and is kind of coming back and getting a few minutes here and there. But we should probably pivot now to the defense. Pivoting left and right here at this show.
Pivoting just like a midfield pivot, which you love to see. And I hate to just say this again for Chelsea, but injuries have been so massive for this club. And another theme for the defense has been injuries. I'll kind of start with the center backs that we've had. Thiago Silva, who I mentioned is 39. He's awesome, but he's lost a step. Mm-hmm. Has been injured a little bit as of late, but he's been a main staple most of the season. Then you got Levi Colwill, one of the bright young stars, hurt lately, pretty solid. Poch was playing him at left back, which was kind of weird. He's more of that left center back. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be great for the future. You got Benoit Badiashile, young, kind of also a left center back. He's kind of a guy you probably want as your backup to Colwill going forward. Then you got Axel Disasi, who I think has played the most minutes this year. Has played right back and right center back. More of that right center back position. A lot of energy, has made some awful mistakes. Just had a crazy own goal.
Oh.
Where he was trying to pass it back to the goalie and kind of like was a worldly goal with how good it was. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, people were saying it was an insane goal.
Wow.
But yeah, then you got some other staples of Trevor Chalobah, injured most of the year, kind of a center back. Wes Fofana tore his ACL, hasn't played at all this year. He will probably be the right center back of the future for this team. Can't wait till he's healthy again. And then if we go out wide to kind of the full backs, left back, right back, Reece James, the captain of our squad, essentially been injured all year, which just sucks. But he's known as one of the best right backs in the world, definitely in all of England. So that just sucks to see. Now, we've had Melo Gusto come in and be an unreal right back. I mean, he's been insane. And he's 20. He's the Frenchman. He's been awesome. He's had high energy. I'm so glad we've had him. Without him, I really don't know where Chelsea would be. And then if we just take it briefly over to the left back side, Ben Chilwell, vice captain for Chelsea. Mm-hmm. Once again, just injured so much where it's like he can't find consistency. Was just called up to the England squad. I just think he's lost a step. And he's really not even that old. He's 27. But it's been tough. And then you got Marc Cucurella, who just got called up to Spain. He's kind of been a replacement. Spent too much money on him. I don't know if he has a future at Chelsea.
So yeah, now over to Bayern Munich, where the defenders, there's a lot to talk about. So I'll try to zero in here.
Eric Dyer.
Yeah, we're gonna get to Dyer. But first, I think I just get it out of the way. Alphonso Davies. Unfortunate, but the man is gone. His head is in Madrid. He's no longer at Bayern Munich.
When Madrid comes calling, it just hits different for these guys, I think.
I mean, a young guy. Unfortunately, I think that he wants to be that kind of global celebrity, and you get that at Madrid where you don't necessarily get that at Bayern Munich, unfortunately.
I mean, it's crazy over there. The only time I really saw it, I don't know if you watched the Beckham documentary.
No.
Not to sidetrack this, but he went over there, and they were just talking about how it's just crazy. Everybody wants to go there, and it's just so different how big it is.
Yep.
So I get it.
I get it. Yeah, I'm not faulting the kid, should I say. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about Alphonso Davies other than, fast. He was kind of the prodigy, and I will say that I think his development has stalled a little bit. So it is what it is. I'm not maybe as sad as some other folks are that when he was asked about his future yesterday with Canada, he just didn't say anything. Was completely silent, and then another reporter broke in and was like, "Keep the questions to the Canada national team, please."
Oh, so he's thinking he might not even play for Canada?
No. The question was about his future with Bayern Munich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he was with the yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and he just didn't say anything, so that's pretty unfortunate.
That is, yeah.
But yeah. Other than that, I guess right now at left back we have Rafael Guerreiro, who's been playing a bit. Also because Davies has just been injured for a while, so I think Guerreiro's done okay. He's not a flashy, fast guy like Davies, but he's kind of held his own back there. I think he's been fine. And then I guess, like I said before, with right back lately, it's been Kimmich, Sasha Bouet, who we just bought for an insane amount of money. I think a little bit of a panic buy because of all of Bayern's injuries. And before we knew that Kimmich was going to be playing right back, is here and has been injured almost the entire time, and then has had kind of a poor showing. I believe he's only played 2 matches. One of those was Leverkusen, and Tuchel played him at left back. So, I mean, what can you say? It's unfortunate. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, so the way the sport is you tend to a lot of times attack through your left or right back, it seems. Do you think Bayern's better at the left or the right side?
I mean, yeah, you would say left because of Davies in the past, but right now, really, I don't know. Things are just up in the air right now. Yeah, Guerreiro's not really one of those super strong attacking guys, especially from the left side.
I feel like that's how Chelsea's left side is.
Yeah,
the right side's just so much better.
I mean, right now the right side is definitely better with Kimmich back there. He's kind of been facilitating a little bit, and he even had a beautiful assist last match against Darmstadt to Kane. Yeah, so I guess now the very interesting part for Bayern's defense kind of comes in the center back position, where they really have 4 guys. And for a while, you had Kim Min-jae and Diat Upamecano, who were starting every single match together and kind of have not had their best season. I think there's just some communication breakdown, or potentially language driven, potentially coaching, whatever you want to say. Both of those are solid players. I don't know necessarily what their future holds with Bayern. I think it's all going to depend on the coach, really. There's so much up in the air. But right now, the combination at center back, who's been winning us, I guess, our last 3 matches, has been Matthijs de Ligt and Eric Dyer. I know you've been waiting for that Eric Dyer shout out.
No, I mean Eric Dyer. It's just funny because he was a Tottenham guy. People
never
kind
played.
of just trash him.
Yeah, I mean, so to be fair to Dyer, he was brought in to Bayern to be their fourth center back basically, and he's done more than anybody could ever imagine, in my opinion. Now, I do want to say that De Ligt should have been playing more in the season, I think. I think he's probably our best center back. It's kind of hard to tell. But, again, maybe it's just the communication between those two or what. But so far, that's been our best combination, which is surprising, I guess, to say the least, that Eric Dyer is getting all these minutes. But the other thing about that man is he's friends with Harry Kane.
He is.
And I got to say, I think that him being there, I think he does have that veteran, like, positive influence on the locker room.
Which is something you need. I mean, Chelsea certainly could use more of that. But you know what's funny, just listening to your description of Bayern's defense, I can't help but think, and this is a reference that is a little niche, but it sounds exactly like the problems with the 2023 Green Bay Packers defense.
Yeah.
Not communicating well, poor coaching. It's literally identical.
Because the talent is there.
Yeah.
The individual
Sounds
talent
like
is
it.
there. Yeah, and I would like to see, I think, Matthias de Ligt and maybe Kim Min-jae, maybe Upamecano, like one of those two in
What did
the
I just see?
combination.
Is it Upamecano? Fabrizio had a tweet about him, too. I don't know what it was, but
his future, I think, is a little bit up in the air right now too, just because of the turnover and the turmoil in that position right now. Yeah, it's hard when you have four guys that are really good, and I wouldn't say that about Eric Dyer until now with how he's been playing. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting shake-up, I guess. And I guess the other thing to mention about Upamecano is he made two horrible mistakes. Yeah, where one of those mistakes was, well, they were both red cards, and they were both bad challenges, and the first mistake against Lazio gave them a goal. Gave them that 1-0 victory in the first leg of Champions League. So he's kind of prone to mistakes like that, and I think that unfortunately it overshadows his greatness as a defender and his overall play.
Which sounds a little like Disasi on Chelsea, where he makes these mistakes.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, the own goal, but has a lot of potential, plays hard.
Yep.
I think Upamecano is French, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Disasi is French, so
yeah.
Kind of similar, but
yeah, and then I guess just to wrap things up here for the squad breakdown, goalkeeper right now for Bayern Munich, Manuel Neuer. I really hope he's going to be healthy again. I think he will be in like 10 to 14 days.
Legend,
and just the season he's had coming back from a gnarly, did you know this? He had a skiing injury, like airlifted off, broke his leg.
Damn.
And I think that people weren't sure if he was going to be able to come back, maybe at all, but nonetheless play how he's always played, which is world class. And he has.
My first question to that would be, did they add something in his contract that says he now can't
go skiing? Yeah. Well, the funny thing is the Nagelsmann last year got fired when he was on a skiing trip. I don't know if you knew that, but
Nagelsmann was on a skiing trip?
Yep, and then he came back
really?
and found out he was sacked.
Tough.
Super tough. Hopefully he can do better with the German national team right now, but yeah, we'll see.
I mean, at Chelsea, it's been such a whirlwind for goalies, too. I mean,
yeah.
The theme of the team is selling all these guys. You know, we kind of sold a couple guys. Kepa is on loan right now to Real Madrid, hoping they buy him because I don't like him at all. Maybe they will because Courtois, I saw, had another injury.
Yeah.
He's their number one of the best in the world.
An injury season for both of these clubs, it seems like.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So goalie's been interesting. You know, we bought Robert Sanchez, Big Bob, as we call him when he plays well.
Wow.
But he just, I don't know. He got injured. He was fine, but then got injured.
Mm-hmm.
ever since, we've had Georgi Petrovic come in, who we actually bought kind of randomly from the New England Revolution
Whoa.
over here in America
Wow.
in the MLS, which that's actually the one position MLS does okay with developing. And he's been actually very solid, consistent, really doesn't make mistakes, which is great for a goalie. Nothing flashy. He's known for kind of his shot stopping. Passing, I think, is okay. But I like seeing him when he's out there. When you see him kind of on the list, you feel confident.
Good. Well, for me at least, that wraps up my squad preview. I mean, there's some more guys who are either injured or just not playing much, and I think as this beautiful program develops, we'll talk more about them. Yeah, so if you have any more thoughts on the squad for Chelsea, please be my guest. But otherwise, I'm interested to hear about your anticipation for seeing Chelsea live.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I could talk about the squad forever, but it is what it is at this point. Yeah, you mentioned it. I kind of teased it at the beginning.
This is the big payoff to the beginning tease.
Yeah, it is the payoff, and I will be going across the pond to London. I've been waiting for it for a while. It's crazy how quickly I just dove in, like we mentioned, and became a fan and became obsessed, and it's all I think about sometimes. The international break sucks because there's no Chelsea to watch.
Oh, I hate it. Good thing there's shows to record.
Oh, exactly. But that's it. I love talking about it, love thinking about it, and it's going to be great. Going over there with Anna, my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's going to be great. We're seeing a match against Burnley on the 30th, Easter weekend. Going to do a tour of Stamford Bridge.
Oh, nice.
Basically going to do kind of a pub crawl before the match.
Yeah.
Which will be great to be kind of immersed in the fans and the team, the culture. I mean, I'm so excited. It's going to be insane. I don't know. It's just one of those things, like, you just kind of hope to do, and it's not easy to do because
Bucket
we live
list.
in America.
Yeah.
But I was saying this, and I haven't even gone yet, but I just know it's going to be one of those things where I feel like I have to go back every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm sure that the energy and the spirit is going to be just something undescribable and almost unimaginable until it happens.
Yeah, I mean, the way I view their fans, they're all pretty nutty in kind of a good way, kind of a toxic way as well.
Yeah.
Chelsea's been kind of toxic this year.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff last match with booing Sterling. People didn't love that.
Ooh,
I don't really care about
That's
that,
tough.
but there's other things where it's just interesting. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I hope and pray that they win because I don't want to see a loss, especially against Burnley, bottom of the table.
Yeah. We'll have to do a recap recording about that because I want to get those thoughts on mic for sure.
I'm gonna have to record some fan chants and
bring
bring them back.
We'll splice them in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bayern has a good match against Dortmund that day too, so there'll be a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I'll catch a little bit of that one, and we'll kind of recap both. I mean, Chelsea coming up, it's going to be interesting. They actually have 3 matches while I'm in Europe. So
wow.
they play that Burnley match Saturday. Then they have a match Thursday against Man United, also at home, while I'll be in the great little town of Bruges, Belgium.
Is that Premier League?
It is, yep.
Okay.
It's just kind of, they just have a midweek
match
for whatever reason. Got to get your matches in, so.
That'll be a big match. I should watch all these Chelsea matches, of course, but that one, I'm kind of on the edge of my seat about.
Yeah, I mean, United kind of slapped Chelsea around last time, but United aren't good, to be honest.
They're scuffling.
So Chelsea needs to win that, and then they play Sheffield United away the following Sunday. Actually, I shouldn't say 3 while I'm in Europe because they play right when I land in Chicago.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting. I might tape the game and rewatch it once I...
And no spoilers.
Which, last time I did that, a couple weeks ago, it was actually kind of electric.
I was fighting not to... Because I watched the first half of... It was Chelsea-Newcastle. I watched that first half live, and there was a goal, 6 minutes in? And
Something
I was
like that,
I
yeah.
was fighting to not say anything to you and just to remain stone cold.
It was tough. This world we live in now with technology, phones. I had to stay off Twitter.
Oh God, yeah, I can't
Which
even imagine.
sucked. I mean, I was working, so I shouldn't say it was that tough, just because I maybe shouldn't be on my phone, but it was tough.
But you're a fan.
But it was also rewarding to then watch it
Yeah.
and see my team play so well.
That was Electric Factory City.
We
Dare
might
I
have to
say.
rename the pod. The Electric Factory.
Yeah. Nobody has any idea what it's about. I'll rip up the logo and we'll just start anew.
To add something else, too, about going to the game, I was at a preseason match at Soldier Field in Chicago, saw Chelsea play Dortmund.
Yeah, man, that would have been. I wish I would have been into it then, because I would have been right there with
The
you.
actual coolest part was watching pregame.
Whoa!
Because
explain that.
So Soldier Field, shitty field.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, but
Go Pack Go.
terrible field, grass-wise. They usually cater to soccer and make the field better,
Improved.
the grass
Yeah.
better.
Yep.
Soldier Field, not great. I think they might have just had a concert. It was terrible. So they really weren't playing at 100%. But that's why the pregame was so important to watch as a fan, because just seeing them do all the drills, the speed they were doing things, the shots they were practicing, just the little side drill passes that they do,
Yeah.
crazy.
I guess it's maybe should have mentioned this a long time ago, but who cares? I guess. Neither of us really played soccer, so.
Well, I played until third grade.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I kind of had pause there. Yeah, I think that just adds a little bit to it, and I can't even imagine what it's like to see these cats live.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see their skill, their technicality, obviously their speed, their stamina. I mean, these guys run miles. Like Conor Gallagher, for example, they always put the stats about how many kilometers he runs, and part of me is like, can I convert that to miles in my head? But I know it's crazy, so.
I guess we don't, both of us, I don't think, maybe you have some ideas, I have some ideas, but we don't really know what this is going to be going forward, except for this program of us talking and getting our thoughts out. I wrote down some notes. It'd be nice to do like news, I think, and maybe that's Twitter. Maybe that's a website with articles. That might be a little farther down the line.
We'll see.
Maybe that's video reaction to breaking news or to matches. But I think as far as the radio show, the podcast goes, I'd like to get match reactions down, match previews, and also just kind of reactions to breaking news and to rumors, because that's always swirling in this world. And this type of an episode I think is going to be a little bit of an anomaly, but I do like the idea of a state of the season kind of lineup or squad rundown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you have any other
I agree
grand
with all
ideas.
that. I mean, low expectations in terms of what this will kind of be.
World famous.
I view it as it's just two great friends that have known each other forever, getting together weekly.
Same birthday.
Facts. Same birthday. And just, talking about the teams. Like, it's a way to integrate yourself more into the team and into the sport. And if you're not talking about stuff, then you're kind of just holding it all in. And I think it's awesome to just talk about it and go through it together. And
I think so too. Cool. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add before we kind of wrap this up?
I'll just add that I'm looking forward to going to London, seeing things firsthand over there.
I'm excited for you.
I'm sure one day you'll get to go over to Germany, and it's probably going to be on my list now as well. So
yeah.
It's going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome going forward. Hopefully our teams will provide us with awesome moments and probably some terrible moments too, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think everything is hills and valleys, as some wise men have once said.
Very true.
Yeah, so I guess that about does it for this inaugural episode of Always Bayern Chelsea. That's what we're sticking with right now. Like I said, this one I think will be a little bit longer, a little bit of an anomaly, but I think it's good to give these squad rundowns and state of the season. So yeah, I don't know if anybody's out there on the other end of this microphone here talking into the void, but if you are, thank you for sticking with us, and just hold on tight because it's going to be a bumpy, beautiful ride.
Damn right.
Go Bayern.
Up the Chelsea.